Welcome back to the Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety, Season 2. This season, we are expanding the conversation, hearing from mental health experts, professionals from different industries, and people in the sports world about how they take care of their minds, handle challenges, and build the mindset to thrive both on the job and in life. So, grab a coffee, get comfy, tune in, get inspired, and let's dive into some fascinating conversations. Remember, your mind is super powerful, and with the right tools and knowledge, you can master your mental playbook. And while you're doing that, take care of you. Hey everyone, Christine here, and welcome back to another episode of the Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety. Today marks the end of another practicum at Dalgety Counseling and Psychotherapy, DCNP. And I have with me Colleen, one of my students, who I've also hired, and she's going to be starting part-time. Very excited. She fit right in with all of us too, so that's amazing. And like I did with Rachel a couple of months ago, I just want to ask Colleen some questions about her transition from student to therapist and all of the fun stuff and a couple of personal things. The reason, not the reason, but I was going to do a podcast with Colleen anyway. Also, she has completely different experiences than Rachel in the sense that, you know, she's a wife and a mother to two small children and navigating all of that as well, and is, no offense, but a bit older than Rachel, so has different life experience before going into her practicum. I'm a lot older than her, so there's no offense to you.
No, not at all.
All right, so welcome, Colleen.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on here. I know doing a podcast first time, it's like, right?
Yes.
And it's old hat for me now, but I still get at the beginning. So
Sure.
This is just casual, laid back, and I'm going to shoot some questions at you.
Sure. I'm ready.
So before we get into all the psychology stuff, what or who are you outside of psychotherapy and psychology?
Sure. So I guess I'm a mom, a wife, sister, daughter. Kind of, I guess those are questions about my intersectionalities, as we called them in school. And I was thinking about that earlier, having listened to Rachel's podcast recently as a refresher. Like, things that I like to do. You know, I really identify with Canadian rural values. So I love to garden and be outside. And in my previous life, in my current life, future life, and previous life, I would have kind of connected with like a very highly competitive person, soccer player, love baseball, just those kind of things.
Another spirit animal of mine.
Yeah. I haven't played soccer in a while. Since having kids, you kind of slow down on some things for a bit, but my goal is to be back there a year from now, maybe less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And you moved to this area
8 years, going on 9 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And what do you think about our little area, our little town?
I truly love it. I come from a very small town, so much smaller than Almont or Carleton Place.
Okay.
When I grew up, they didn't have a stoplight in town.
Oh,
and
me
now we
neither.
have one. Yeah, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, when I grew up in Almont, there was no, where you see all the, they were four-way or two-way stops.
Mm-hmm.
There was no traffic lights in Almont. I think my son might have been born by the time so I was like 21 or something before they had stoplights. Yeah.
It's so interesting watching a town develop.
Yeah.
But no, I love it. I do like that I am kind of a transplant here. So there's lots of things that I'm learning from either being at work with you guys or participating in the community about like some of the things that go on in the offerings here in Almont. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Awesome. Yeah. Sorry. I mean, I love Almont, but I grew up here. Anyway, let's move into the psychology part. So what made you think of psychology in the first place?
Ooh.
Going into psychology.
So unlike many people at the office, I think I might be the only one with a business background. I don't know, BCom. So
Yeah.
originally, when I was 18 and choosing my career path, I actually got accepted to the University of Western Ontario as a psych major. But instead, I truly majored in partying. I have no shame about that. I was living the life of a first-year student. And after the first 2 years, I kind of realized that, one, I wasn't maybe putting my best foot forward at school, but also I wasn't really sure if it was my destiny. Because in an undergrad, you don't have necessarily a career path.
Yeah.
And that doesn't matter if it's psych or business or accounting, something like that. So
Yeah.
I took a little bit of time off. I guess I was like around 19 years old. So this is going back a ways now, like 20 years ago. And went back to school for business at Fanshawe College. Anyways, this is a long-winded way to say, after I finished my undergraduate degree in business commerce, I worked in supply chain management in London and then here up in Smiths Falls. And one of the things that kind of always brought me back to psychology was that the interpersonal relationships at work can actually dictate the outcome of project management or goal setting and really the atmosphere at work. And as I worked through management kind of positions at both of my business career jobs, I recognized that most of the time when I was managing, I wasn't doing the role of a manager. I was maybe being more of a connecting the dots. It was very interpersonal. It was, it was psychological. And at that time, I was reading a lot of nonfiction books, particularly in the psych field. And then my husband and I decided we were going to start a family. And I thought, you know what, that career, the 80 hours a week, fast-paced, on call all the time, is not necessarily something that I can maintain, especially given my husband's career. So I was like, I'm going to go back to school. And I applied to Yorkville. And the day I got accepted to Yorkville, got the email, was also the day I found out I was pregnant with my son. So here we are, 3 years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
4 years later.
Yeah, and you were going to start the practicum, but then you found out you were pregnant with your daughter.
Yeah, I remember having that conversation with you. I was so nervous. I'm like, she has held a spot for me for a year, and here I am, 3 months pregnant, and I need a little bit more time.
I was like, all good. Let me know. Let me know.
Well, I really appreciate it still to this day.
Yeah. So talking about the practicum, how did it feel to like cross that finish line of your master's and the practicum?
Oh man, I was so light. I actually felt like I was like floating for a couple days. Even the start of this week, being my first week not as a practicum student anymore, I'm like, feel like my brain has opened up all these new corridors that give me a little bit more confidence, but mostly just like the ability to change my focus from the school, because school's a single direction that helps you get to where you're going, but it doesn't necessarily lead you down your future path in a way. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
but
it absolutely does. Rachel said that too, right? There's so many, like now she's taking other courses and stuff too, and she said it prepares you, but being with the clients, and because
there's nothing like it.
We talk about when you first start, right? That's why when I ask you, like, what do you want? Like, what do you feel comfortable with? What clientele? And whenever, like, if you say adults, I'm like, great, you're having kids. And I do that all the time because of that, because school teaches you a certain thing, right? And so I want you, I mean, my perspective of it is a practicum is, I want you to experience all that you can in that practicum, and then you figure out your niche.
Right. And I think that your clinic and the way that you do that is actually so wonderful, because there are people in larger cities who are working in very narrow sectors, and it doesn't give you necessarily the whole spectrum of humans. And I've loved the practicum experience.
Yeah, well, thank you. Also, when you said like even like this week, Monday, I'm like, are you drunk? Did you come to work drunk? Because you were like, it was like this weight was lifted. You were giggling and you were like, and then I'm like, either it's ADHD going like full tilt or you're drunk. And, but you said, no, I think it's just like, I'm not drunk, which I was kidding. I didn't actually think you were drunk at work. But, it was this, you looked like you had a spring in your step.
Well, thanks. I mean, every time I would come to the office during school, there was two things in my mind. Obviously, client work comes first, but then the other side of it was all the schoolwork because I'm a stay-at-home mom full-time outside of the part-time hours I spend at the office. So between clients, I was doing preparation for future clients, client notes, and schoolwork because when you open a laptop around a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, you're not getting, you're watching rocket ships, like you're not getting any actual work done. So, taking that out of the equation, it made me feel light.
Yeah. I think too, because you're doing the practicum, you're in school, even when you're seeing clients, I remember when I did my practicum too, you're still thinking about all the school stuff because you're being assessed, right? And so you're thinking about, I need to make sure I do this and this. And then once you just have that freedom to just be the therapist you want to be and not be assessed all the time, I think that takes a load off too.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Did you, because I had mentioned before, like, I think in Rachel's podcast that like, when I was finished, I was waiting for I don't know what I expected. Did I expect confetti and everything going off? Because I was like, oh, okay. And then Rachel said it was weird too because she did her practicum, finished her practicum on Friday and started as an employee on Monday doing the same thing. Did you feel that too? Is there that kind of weirdness?
I don't know. I don't know that it felt weird. I honestly, I think it was just light. I was like, this is it, and I've done it, and I'm ready to keep learning and ready to keep developing all of the skills that I developed in the last 8 months, plus maybe take new courses and learn something that's more specific to what I want to do.
Yeah, and that's what I think that, and I say that to all the therapists, and when I do performance reviews and stuff, I talk about we can be generalists, but then have a special, I treat everything, but I'm a trauma specialist, right? So, so if there's going to be a trauma client, I'm going to take that client or Jade when she comes back from mat leave. Is there something you want to specialize in? And if you don't know, that's fine.
I don't know. I'm in all of the CRPO groups online, and one of the takeaways, I mean, it's not always the most, it gives you a lot of information about what people are doing. And one of the things that as I read through some of the threads is specializing maybe too early will limit what I choose to do in the future. Yeah. So from what I've read and what I've kind of decided on at this point is to continue to be general, at least for the rest of the summer, and just develop the skills, enhance my client base with the practice, and continue to learn about myself as a therapist, because that has to continue no matter what. And then I do have a real passion for a couple things so far that's come out of working with clients. And I haven't experienced yet. So I would like to get into postpartum and postpartum anxiety, postpartum rage. Some of the things that I have experienced, even though I know that will trigger some countertransference and transference, I think that the women have a lot more support than sometimes we think we do. So I'd like to get into that niche. Yep. I also really like working with younger men, and they are very different from 17 to 25-year-old women. Yep. So maybe specializing in some of the differences in the way depression and anxiety present for men than it does for women. Would be something of interest to me. But, I think there's lots of skills that I just don't, that I can continue on working on, motivational interviewing. And those are hopefully mini courses that are just very specific to interventions and the psychoeducation that kind of comes with that. So Yeah, that's very broad, I guess.
No, that's perfect. And I totally agree. I don't think anyone should specialize right out of the gate. Unless this is something that, like Rachel's really interested in addictions. And so right out of the gate, she started taking more courses on addiction. Kathy is like, she loves just absorbing education, that kind of thing. And so she's been like, oh, I think I'll try this and this. And then I said, okay, it's been 2 or 3 years, so now let's try to find a niche. Not that I don't, I want everyone to be able to treat everything that they feel comfortable with, but I think there's that, I don't know. It's kind of like when you have that specialist, then you focus your training on that, and so then you become more confident in that.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, totally agree. And I'll take a little bit of time before I dive into additional training at this point. But yeah, I have some interest. We'll see what comes up. There's so much out there as far as training goes. I'm on all the lists. I get hundreds of emails a week.
Yeah.
So
different things. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about graduate school, like a reality check with that. What surprised you most about grad school that no one really warned you about?
So again, I had graduated my undergrad nearly 10 years before I started grad school. I don't know if I should say this, but I actually enjoyed, like, the first 2 years was so enjoyable, and it was such a mental break from the stuff I was doing at work that I don't want to call it easy, but I loved what I was learning, so it became so easy. And Absolutely. It was so different from supply chain planning. So that was maybe a little bit shocking. Even the readings I found enjoyable. I think one of the other shocking things was how many young people actually go to grad school right out of their bachelor's degree. I'm like, wow, like, you didn't need a break. Yeah. So I was a little bit shocked by that too, but I think that was probably the most shocking thing about going to grad school.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, Danica, my niece, graduates next April. She'll finish her BA in Psych, and she's applying to start Yorkville in September.
Good for her. I mean, if she has the passion and she knows where she's going, I don't think I could have done that.
Yeah, I mean, my path was so different that I didn't go till I was like 43 or something, but yeah, I think too, when you, ADHD brain, I just had 4 thoughts at the same time. Because you were doing like supply chain and everything, if you found, I found the not Yorkville stuff, but the graduate stuff easier too, only because it's my passion. Yeah. Right. So I think that, like, I really enjoyed it, and there was a lot of work, and doing like 20-page essays every weekend and stuff. But I think that there was, I think when you really enjoy it, it's going to feel easier because because if you told anybody else that you enjoyed reading the psych readings that you have to read, they'd be like, and I was like, yeah, that's true. Right. Because I mean, we used to go on vacation and I'd bring a psych book, and my sister's like, could you not just bring some smut book or something?
Yeah, exactly. I remember, reading like Atomic Habits or some of the other things, and like being at my parents' pool in the summer, and they'd be like, like, couldn't even pick up an old copy of Harry Potter or something a little bit lighter. I'm like, actually, this is what I like.
That's it's my jam.
Yeah.
I read those books, but now I read other books too.
Me too. Through practicum, I actually found reading again as an enjoyment and less
instead of
but that's as an outlet.
What was harder than you expected?
Harder than I expected? Okay, so I want to answer this. I don't know if this is a different question, a different answer to the question, but one of the things I was not expecting, and maybe I found it a little bit difficult, was that while you are getting more into the psych literature, it still is like a 50,000-foot view. And so then when you take that 50,000-foot view and try to apply it, that is very difficult.
Yeah.
And so I would say that to me, like, there's so much learning to still be done. You know, you can't take a 5 or 7 week course on cognitive behavioral therapy and call yourself an expert.
No.
And honestly, it doesn't apply to everybody. So when I started working with you and at the clinic, at the office, it's like, oh, this doesn't actually, like, CBT might not be the right fit for this person. And understanding how to read that faster, apply what you know, and then try different modalities. So the application of what you learn is probably the hardest part for me. And then, you know, it is a self-learning program, so self-led, self-start. So there was a time when I had, when Juno, my daughter, was born in August of 2024, I was taking 4 courses at school. And that was really hard. From August to December, and then I took time off before I started with you in September. But yeah, I did 7 courses in that time frame with a newborn. So that was really hard too. I mean,
absolutely.
That was tricky.
Absolutely. And you just, explained even further the importance of practicum.
Yes.
And stuff, and how, like, you learn all the theory in school.
Yeah.
You learn all the theory. CBT is awesome. I use it all the time. Or a form of it, because, it's an umbrella term, and so there's all others. But if you don't apply it, you can learn all about it. And part of the Yorkville, when I went anyway, it was all the different modalities, right? Then you can learn them and like, oh, that's really good. I like that. And then you have a client sitting in front of you and it's like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Or I mean, there's lots of things about sitting in front of clients that you're just like, oh shoot, was not prepared for this today. And I have all my notes and we're just going to throw them away.
Put them over there. Yep. That's, and I've said this a few times on here, but every single time I have a student, every single time I have a new therapist, or within the first year even, but usually when I have a new student after the first session or so, it's like, okay, so I think I'm going to do this next session, and you have this whole treatment plan, which we're supposed to have a treatment plan, but I'm like, be flexible, because that pile of papers beside my chair is all of the times that I had stuff for clients and they came in with something completely different.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about having a treatment plan, but because we are a very client-centered office practice, and so it's, I may have something to do with somebody's work because they're coming in with work-related issues, and I'm all ready to do this stuff, and then they come in and they're like, can we just talk about my relationship? Sure. Yeah.
You become a very good chameleon. Like, okay, shape-shift today.
Yeah. And it's important to be able to, like, go back and forth, and even in a session.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even just like things switch in a session. I always say I've been doing this for 3 decades. And so I don't flinch. I've heard everything there is to hear. And a client just said something to me, on Thursday. And I was like, I went, what? Totally.
Yeah.
And it had shocked her too. She was sharing something that happened. And I was like, I did not see that coming.
Wow.
And then I said to her, nothing makes me flinch anymore. Like clients will say big things, and then I'll go, okay. And they're like you didn't even like, right? Because I've heard it. But that, she's like, right? Like it was like a plot twist in the movie. Like it was completely, did not see it coming. I'm not going to share, obviously, because of confidentiality, but it was. And she said, I'm glad you had that, because I was like, am I the only one that thinks this is like bizarre, off the wall, So, all right. What helped you get through the most stressful stretches?
Of school or practicum? or both?
The whole thing.
Probably the, knowing what I really wanted was to try to help people improve their lives.
Yep.
So keeping this is cheesy, but eye on the prize a little bit of like your future is going to hopefully make a difference for someone. And it will make a difference for myself, my children, my husband, and everyone else who I influence. I'm an aunt, I'm a sister, so I'm a daughter. So when there's an opportunity to encourage a change in other people's lives, whether it's in the office or outside of it, I can come back to these foundational roots. So I think that was really something that intent, the intention helped me stay focused and get through a lot of hard times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom used to always say, remember why you started in the first place.
Yeah.
And I remember doing my doing my whole graduate degree, and I kept, remember why you started in the first place. Remember why you started in the first place. And then I also had a quote it was from a poem by Nora Oliver, and I just had a complete brain cramp. Like, I have it downstairs in my gym posted. And the one part of the poem says, tell me, what is it that you want to do with this one wild and precious life? And so I had that posted up on the thing too. And it was like, this is what I want to do. And so every time I wanted to give up, because I worked full time as well. And so it was a lot. And I was like, nope, remember why you started in the first place? You want to help people, and this is what I want to do with this one wild and precious life. So
Yeah.
Laura
Oliver.
I think. What is happening to my brain? I've had a bit on my plate the last couple of days in grandma birthday cupcaking mode and stuff. So, all right. So let's move on to your practicum experience. And you just say what you need to say. Don't say it as me being your supervisor or your boss or anything.
Sure.
I have to say that to Erin all the time. Just say what you're going to say. I am not going to fire you or anything. But I do have record of it on this podcast. No, I'm just teasing. Just teasing.
You can pull it up when you need to ruminate. Sure.
Your performance review. Just want to show you something. What was it like? For everyone here, I know what it was like because you came to me, but what was it like seeing your first client?
Oh my gosh, it was terrifying. Yeah. No book, no person, nothing can prepare you for sitting across from someone and them starting to tell you some personal things about themselves, who are strangers. You do it in your personal life with your friends and your family and your, but it's so different when you actually do have to not react and be non-biased and set all of your biases aside. So, and then to not carry it home with you or carry it with you in the future. So it was terrifying. And
if I remember correctly, Kyla was going off on medical leave, and
Yes.
you started on Tuesday, Tuesday, because Labor Day was the Monday, and she gave you a client on Thursday.
Yes.
Which normally it's like, no, give them a few days, and then you literally had a client your second day.
Yep.
Which I didn't notice because I was off that week too, and I was coming in because you were coming in. So, but I didn't, or was it the week before I was off? Anyway, I was off, and so I didn't notice until. So I was like, Colleen.
Yeah. I don't know exactly who my first one was anymore. I think I do off the top of my head.
I know who it was.
Oh.
It was a little girl.
I thought so. Was that my very first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that was even, you're right, because it was even more frightening because being a minor, she wanted her mom there, which is totally fine. And I'm like, wow, I have to be good at this. The expectation to be exceptional from the get-go is something that I struggled with.
And put on yourself?
Yes. Only I was an imposed pressure, yes. Self-imposed.
But also very natural. Mm-hmm. Because I remember, right, like... So I did this for a long time, but I did it in schools. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot different, right? It was like behavioral stuff with kids with ADHD and autism and all of that, and counseling teenagers and stuff. But it was like they'd come in my room like, Miss Dalgety, right? Or I'd go in and sit with them. This was, I remember my first client in my practicum, and was a 72-year-old man. And I was like, whoa, right? Because I'd worked with kids and teenagers, and I felt so intimidated. And I remember sitting in front of him, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, his mental health is in my hands right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so it is very, sitting there, and I even get, after all this time, like, if parents come in, I get that kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's different when it's a younger person and you're like, okay, what's that,
Yeah, and it's their whole life,
Yeah.
right? Like helping to guide someone through anxiety at 10 is how they will deal with anxiety for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely,
And how
that's a good point.
how they'll see mental health professionals too. So
Yeah.
you have an imprint that
Yeah.
you're saying, like, if you're not exactly what they need. In my head, my inner self was saying, if you're not exactly what she needs, she might steer away from therapy
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Or if you don't meet her where she's at. So yeah, it was stressful, but we got through it.
And 8 months later, and I saw her in the office the other day, so there you
know,
go.
She's here. We still see each other.
Yeah, so you're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing a good job. Do you remember that moment, which might have been the same moment, when you were like, oh, wow, I'm really a therapist?
Yeah, so it wasn't that moment. It wasn't the first session. It might have been a couple weeks in.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot in the first month and a half of practicum. It's a lot of intake sessions.
Yeah.
So you're not getting necessarily to like the third level of where, you're uncovering things. And
For
it's
sure.
really just like, I don't know. My brain goes to dinosaurs because that's what we talk about at home all the time. So it's like you're an archaeologist. You're just trying to figure out what's the root of this. And it takes sometimes a couple weeks to get there, especially based on client frequency. So I do remember it was probably mid-October, actually with the same client, when I had a real like aha breakthrough moment.
Yep.
And it was, just I figured out how to meet her where she was at that moment, and how to get inside her psyche. And that's tricky.
Yeah.
And everyone's different. The human
Especially
brain
for
works.
a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And we got there and I was like, oh, that felt so good after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned working with young men and stuff. So this might be the answer to that. But what kinds of cases or populations impacted you the most?
Yeah, I think, I don't know how to answer that perfectly. I think young men impact me the most because, there's books that I read before becoming a mom that were psych books while I was in school, on some of the really good things that have happened societally as far as progress. But also, every time you make progress, there are groups that are impacted. And so when I had my son and being a spouse and being a sister and aunt to lots of men, I am kind of drawn to that, just because I think sometimes men don't take the opportunity to look at their mental health. I think there's still a very big stigma on men getting help.
100%.
And so my spouse is in the military, and there's a stigma on them getting mental health help.
150%.
So yeah, I think working with young men who come in and they're really struggling to know what they want to be, and then how to fit into this current, like, modern, progressive society, when they maybe want traditional male values, which doesn't mean oppression of women. It just means that they want to be able to be a provider without having that stigma attached. That's an interesting thing to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I it's having a son and again, a very hardworking man in my life. It really leaves an impact for sure.
For sure. For sure. So how did supervision, and I know we had times where we didn't have any because
okay.
it was crazy busy for both of us. Like we couldn't find a time that, but how did supervision shape your growth as a clinician?
You remind me that I can't fix people. And it's because I'm a problem solver by nature. I mean, my
Yeah.
background being in business and in project management and supply chain and demand planning, everything felt fixable in my past life.
Yep.
And supervision, it gives me the opportunity to remind myself, like, you're not here to fix them. You're here to walk alongside their journey
Yeah.
and to encourage behavioral change that helps them have, make leaps and bounds with how they feel on a day-to-day basis. But they can only your clients can put in the work. And
That's
that's
right.
every time we had supervision, I think that was the thing that came out of them the most. And I actually remind myself of that on a daily basis because I am a fixer.
Absolutely. And it's hard not to be in those situations because you have a helicopter view, so you can see,
Yeah.
what's happening. But like I always say, the minute they walk out that door, you no longer have control whether they're going to implement the stuff. And you can't work harder than your clients at their mental health.
Yeah. You said that in my very first week, and I was like, oh boy, you're going to struggle with that one. And I do, it's a constant check-in. That's probably the one thing as I drive to the office on the days of the week that I'm there. It's like, okay, check in with yourself. Where are you at? What are you feeling today that you're going to bring into the session, whether you like it or not, and
Yep.
and set that aside now and remember not to fix.
Okay. Cool. I think that this is always a work in progress for therapists, but how did you learn, or how are you learning, I should say, to manage self-doubt or imposter syndrome? And I know you struggle with some of that.
Yeah. Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're rocking it, or you wouldn't be working for me,
I guess. I mean, maybe
to put it bluntly.
maybe the mask is up. No, sorry. I don't know. I guess I have to remind, again, this is all work in progress.
Yeah.
For the first year and a half of your graduate education, you're doing all the book work and you're writing the discussion posts and you're pleasing the professor, and then you come out of it and you think like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And you're quite frankly, really not prepared,
Yeah.
unless you've done a lot of volunteer work or something. And I wasn't in that space at that time. So I just remind myself that this is a learning, like you're learning from every one of your clients. You're learning from everyone in the office on a day-to-day basis. And then learning from all of my other interpersonal reactions, actions and reactions. So with my sisters and with my nieces and nephews or my brother-in-laws, like I'm constantly learning on who I am and then how to apply all of the things that I learn
Yeah.
in the office as well. So I hope that's the right answer. But yeah.
Yeah. And I know there was a few times that we talked about it, right? That you felt like you did the wrong thing, and you didn't. And I think that there was also, not to get too into it, but like situations where in the schoolwork part of it, comments were made, and then, in supervision, it was, okay, but they don't see the client because you have to do the videotape of yourself, record your videotape. There's my age. You have to record yourself, right? And so they're commenting on that, which then got you really in your head, but they didn't know the client. They didn't know that you had to answer for that client sometimes, that you had to use more closed questions. And so it's just about remembering that too, that you know your client, and you know how to talk to them, when to prompt them, that kind of thing, to keep those things in mind.
Yeah. Your school really, like some of the schoolwork, depending on your peer group, could really get under the skin in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know in that one situation,
Yeah,
it was completely different than what you do.
Yeah, and it's funny because that was at the end of the first term of practicum, and then the second term of practicum, there was a huge confidence leap in there
Yeah,
in general, just
absolutely.
with my clients that were returning, and my intakes were going a lot better, or I felt a lot more confident doing them at the, second term. So, yeah, it's just about growing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to have those moments of self-doubt so that you can tackle it, right? If you always felt confident, it's not that you're not growing, but it's those moments of self-doubt and reflection and everything that helps you grow
Absolutely.
as a person and as a therapist. So, moving on to, from student to clinician, how has your idea of what a good therapist looks like changed?
Oh. I think, one, it's the ability to leave space, and that silence is a gift in sessions.
Yeah.
So I love The Sopranos. And
Yeah,
when I
me
think about a
too.
therapist,
I love The Sopranos.
yeah. And you watch the show when oh gosh, maybe aging myself a little bit, but and she's sitting there with her clipboard and her
Yes.
glasses,
Yeah.
and you're, 6 feet apart. I don't think that therapy has to look the same for everybody.
No.
Now,
No.
I've learned that some of my clients really enjoy different structures to sessions. I walk with some of my clients because eye contact doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
Or they are inside in a closed box all day without sunlight, and that's something that just generally makes them feel better. And when we have that opportunity to give them that, we
Absolutely.
can. And then, it's just truly using silence and space, and then also that, again, you're not talking, you're not fixing, you're not applying interventions all the time, which is something that we learn in school. It's we're doing interventions and you should have one per session. I'm like, you can't plan for that. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some sessions where I feel like I barely spoke, right? Because this person has so much they just need to get out, and they always apologize. They're always like, "I'm sorry, I'm taking the whole session." And I always say, "It's your hour,
Yeah, it's your
right?
session.
We're not doing strategies today. You just need to get this out, and if you just need to vent, I'm going to listen." So,
Well, and I think the other thing is as a therapist, you can be a friend. And that boundary
a
is
friend with boundaries.
a friend with boundaries. And so there's things obviously they're not texting you or calling or whatever, but some people just need someone to talk to. And that can be what a therapist is too.
100%. And I've had people come in and say, I feel like I'm talking to a friend, but with boundaries. I'm not going to go have a glass of wine with you or anything, but it's not like the clipboard and, that kind of thing. And some people, I think sometimes you write some stuff down. And no, yeah, I thought one time you had, but I think it was papers that you had. But some of the therapists write some stuff down, but it's not right?
Yeah.
And I don't. A, because I have ADHD and I distract myself if I do. But B, I just want that flow with the client. So, yeah. All right. What strengths have you discovered in yourself? You've talked a little bit about it, but as a clinician.
I again, slowing down is something I learned through practicum.
Yeah.
Slowing down my thoughts. I mean, a fast thinker and quick to respond sometimes in my personal life. And so learning how to do that in my professional life has also applied to the personal life, and that's been wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's a strength I think that I've learned specifically through practicum. And also learning to listening is not necessarily listening. So you can listen to someone and hear what they've said, but it has a totally different meaning.
Yep.
And so giving the opportunity to take that second and unpack that and say it's less of how does that make you feel, but what does that mean to you?
For sure.
And that how does that make you feel question comes up a lot in all of our courses, but what does that mean to you? I think is a totally different question.
Because technically you're not supposed to say, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
That's like a cliche kind of thing.
Yeah.
That because a lot of times clients don't know, right? But what does that mean to you? What meaning are you giving to that event?
Yeah.
You know, what do you see when that happens? That kind of thing is, or what do you think? Or, you know, there's so many different things we say, but yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah. And so you're working on not fixing.
Yes, that is my number one goal. And I think that'll be something I work on forever.
For sure. For sure. It's human instinct too. If you have knowledge of something and somebody needs knowledge of something, you want to give it to them and tell them what to do, right?
Yeah.
To fix it. But that's not our job. So, I mean, I think that there are times, which is why, you know, it's Dalgety counseling and psychotherapy. Psychotherapy, we don't give advice, but counseling you can. And so that's why I have both in there, because there are some times, like, I'll never tell a client what to do. And they get mad at me. No, just tell me. Right? But I give them, you know, sometimes I'll say, you know, I don't know off the top of my head, but sometimes I'll say something that is advice giving. But not fixing them per se. Yeah. Is there anything else, or is that like the main one that you want to work on?
I'd say, yeah, that's probably the main one I would like to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And how are you balancing being a human while holding a professional role?
Oh. Is that a question of like well or not well?
Maybe. No. I mean, it can be a twofold question, right? It can be a human as like a mom and a wife and of young children, but it can also be a human as in processing your own stuff and being a professional.
Sure. I'll add in a third for you. So I think it's really hard for everyone to draw appropriate boundaries around everything in their life. As a mom and a wife and all the, like I said, the intersectionalities at the beginning, you must have boundaries there in order to have those relationships be successful.
For sure.
Having boundaries at work, same thing. And then you can't necessarily always stop yourself from feeling the feelings. You know, there's lots going on in the world that is sad and dramatic and stressful. You just did a podcast, I think, about the news.
The news, yeah.
And it's, so I don't know if I could say well or not well in any of those. What I will say is I actively try to recognize, like, meet myself where I'm at every day. There's days when I have been up since 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to just accept that, like, I might not be fully quick functioning.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And so I try to give myself the grace to, you know, meet myself where I'm at, meet my clients where they're at, and then meet all of the other people that I interact with on a daily basis where they're at too.
Yeah.
It gives myself a lot of time and patience and slow down.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so moving into the workforce now, you've got 1 week in at DCMP. What feels exciting and what feels scary?
Ooh. Honestly, expanding my client work and client knowledge is exciting. I'm excited to maybe hopefully do some group work with some of the girls at the office, if given the opportunity. Probably later in the summer, early fall will be the better time for me personally.
We're not doing any groups till the fall anyway.
Perfect. So that feels exciting. I guess what feels scary is, like, I know at some point I'm going to have to decide like some specialties or start taking additional courses, and that I don't want to learn something and be like, wow, I've been doing that wrong because I am a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Or I wish I knew, you know, as clients kind of come and go, I wish I had that approach for this person before. Maybe I'd still be seeing him. So I think that client termination of clients or when they move on to a different therapist, that kind of scares me because I would like to know what I've done wrong, even though I know that that'll never happen. So that feels scary to me. And I think that it's just nerve-wracking knowing that you're not going to meet everybody's needs or be the right fit for everybody. And that I think is scary.
Absolutely. And that is so normal, right? Like, I think I have clients that leave me and go to another therapist in the office. And it's human nature, especially when you have some social anxiety and perfectionism and stuff, that I did something wrong. No, maybe it just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean, like, there's clients that I know, first session, I'm like, they're not going to come back because it's not a good fit. It's not what they want. They want somebody who's very, right? One of the therapists had somebody say that they had a therapist in the past that yelled at them and said, "Ugh," and they were, which I was like, what?
Yeah.
And you know, and they said, I don't know if I'm getting what I need out of these sessions. And what I said to that therapist was, that's okay, because that's not what you're like as a therapist. And you're not going to meet that need. It doesn't mean you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
And if you do take courses and you're like, oh, I should have done that differently with someone, you did what you knew in that moment was going to work with that client, with the knowledge that you had. So then, instead of looking at it like, I'm therapizing, I'm supervising you right now, instead of looking at it like, oh, I could have done it differently, this is how I'm going to apply it next time to someone else, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And just, knowing that you're just learning and constantly learning. I mean, even the literature changes all the time.
Absolutely.
So what CBT was 10 years ago is not what CBT is today. And so we have to just accept that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And remind yourself what you work with your clients on too, right? So you made the decision based on what you knew to be true then. How can I change it going forward? Instead of, oh, if I had have done this, they would have stayed. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. And I think that I've been through that too, where it's like, oh, what did I do? Why did they leave? Why? But then it's like, okay, how many do you have that stayed? And so it may be a personal thing, not personal like between the two of you, but a personal thing of the client. So try to keep that in mind. But it is scary. How are you thinking about boundaries, workload, and burnout early on? Because you've got a lot.
So I through school and through my own personal therapy for the last 20 years, I feel like I have developed better and boundaries. Boundaries are always meant to be pushed by people who hate boundaries.
Yeah.
So you surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries is the first thing. And I think all relationships have a service to an individual. Not that they should be exclusively self-serving by any means, but good boundaries are meant to be pushed by people who want to push them, but keeping them still is like steadfast is important. I really like your office for so many reasons, but I think everybody there is so welcoming to having the opportunity to, if they have the space emotionally and in their day, to have a little discussion. Like I'm wearing a lot right now. I feel really heavy. Getting to have those discussions with Kyla and Aaron and Rachel and Darby. Kathy, I don't see as often, and you, so to share some of the burden, especially in the season that I'm about to enter, it's going to be challenging.
Yes.
But I burnout is something I've been feeling for a long time, and so now I recognize how to deal with it. I think I mentioned I am a military spouse, so I spend some time alone. Yeah. I am 100% stay-at-home mom first, and keeping that in mind, my clients, I think, will understand that too. Yeah. If ever I have to do cancellations at the last minute, but no, and then just again, giving myself the grace to have my feelings. I'm not a perfect person, and I have big feelings, and I'm allowed to have depressive moments and anxious days.
Absolutely.
And that's all okay. And just dealing with it with the strategies that I know how to deal with. And then when it feels too big, you lean into supervision and you in peers.
And the girls.
Yes.
We're like a little family there.
Oh yeah. We've had, this past week has been fun. With less school, we had a great chat on Thursday. It was nice.
Yep. Yeah. It's always when I'm not in the office, I think. What is that? When the cat's away, the mice will play?
Not true, but it was when you were gone. And
Yeah. Well, when I was on holidays, we've said before, the girls made a bucket list of all the things they want to do, and I made them take a couple of them off because there was like tattoos. I'm like, we're not going to get tattoos together. If you guys want to, I am not getting a tattoo with you guys. I was like, so I'm on vacation. You guys are all hanging out in the waiting area or in the kitchen doing a bucket list of things to do, which I joke with them, but I think that's absolutely amazing and cool. And that's the practice that I want to have.
Yeah, well, it makes it a really, like, we all feel like we're, it's so cliche, but like a little family, and like that we can connect with each other on a personal level, and that we look forward to spending time with each other outside of work. That's really nice.
Yeah,
and that's something you've cultivated. So
absolutely, yeah. What advice would you give to someone just starting grad school?
So in this career path, I'd ask you a couple things, like what's your intent, and who do you want to serve, and why are you doing this? Because while obviously finances is a motivating factor for everyone, and it absolutely should be, I don't think that looking at this as a income stream first should be why you enter it.
Yeah.
I would ask them questions about their personal boundaries, and how they feel about them right now. Because my last question would be, is how do you carry the mental load of all of the people in your life today? And if you can't answer that question because when your sister or your cousin or your boyfriend or girlfriend dumps on you, you carry that trauma and that baggage, I don't think that this is their career path for you.
Yeah.
Unless you do some therapy and learn the strategies so that you don't carry that with you. Because you go into a session and we all have, again, our intersectionalities and all the things that we're carrying every day. And you have to not carry your client's baggage home with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next podcast we do is on trauma, and I'm going to share, finally, maybe, the trauma that I went through in losing my father and everything that went on with that. And I remember a month later, a client coming and lost her father, very similar ways. And as soon as she started to talk, my stomach flipped.
Yeah.
But I was the therapist, right? And I said during that time, the only time I felt really like myself was when I was doing therapy, because I can carry mental load. I can, and I just pushed. It's not that I pushed it all down. This was not the time. And so it's really, if I didn't have those skills, and I was talking to this person who triggered my trauma, right? Not a very good therapist would I make.
No.
So, I think that's amazing advice. So if you're starting out, listen to that. What has this journey taught you about mental health in real life?
Oh, it's certainly not linear. And, well, not everything is everyone's problems, and personal, professional, they are common and they're uncommon to everybody.
Yeah.
So every human experience will have at some point depression and anxiety. How you carry that and how you feel it is totally exclusive to you. And so that's why, even when we talked about modalities and interventions, it doesn't fit into a box.
Absolutely.
It doesn't fit into a pill bottle. Not everyone can manage medication the same.
Yeah.
So it's not linear and it's not exclusive.
Absolutely. So when we always hear, oh, everyone has anxiety now, right? Do I think there's some trending in some of the mental health issues? Absolutely. But also, it is so unique. It's not the stereotypical, I remember a principal once saying there was a kid and he was very angry and he was yelling in class and he's like, oh yeah, anxiety, as if that's anxiety. And I'm like, it absolutely is.
Yeah,
right? But that's how he presented. What are you most proud of yourself for?
Oh,
professionally?
professionally. Honestly, finishing, I'm really proud of myself for getting to this place with, I did like 2 kids under 3 years old, the full program, the practicum. And I think professionally, like actually finding my footing. The first couple months was really tricky. I was scared that I wasn't going to find my footing, that it was going to always feel foreign.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was walking on ice. And I'm proud of myself for kind of coming around to that and
For sure.
feeling so much more comfortable in the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, as a supervisor and a mentor, that is like watching the growth from day one to the last day in the students and in you is the most rewarding, but it's like the most amazing thing. I love, and I always say, and the girls say, I might be quiet and I might kind of be sitting back, but I know everything that goes on in the office. I watch everything, and I watch how you bring your clients out. I watch how you bring your clients in. My desk is situated perfectly for when you guys are coming down the hall, and I see all of that, right? I go out, I check in, I see how clients are after. I watch all of that, and just the growth in seeing is amazing. It's so cool to watch. It would be really cool to have like a camera on it, right? Just to see the changes.
Like a time lapse.
like a time lapse thing to see the changes from day one to confidence and skill building and niche stuff and like all of, not like niche isn't, but things you become more comfortable in, all of that. I think it's really cool. And I watched it with you, and I'm not taking any more students on for a little bit just because I love doing it. I love mentoring and stuff, but the office is just so busy right now. And I felt like I wasn't able to give you everything that you needed all the time, like the supervision and stuff. I mean, I still talk to you every day, and so it wasn't like always formal, but also Yorkville, honestly, their new parameters and stuff have become so much that it puts so much more work and pressure on their supervisors. So I think they really need to look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, even the videos, it went from 3 videos that I had to observe and talk to you about and stuff to 10. And then I had 2 students. So that's 20 videos, right?
And 20 hours of videos.
Yeah, and I watch them and I write it all down. I talked to you about some of them. I didn't talk to you about all of them because it was fine, right? Like it was pretty much the same things that we talked about, and you did well with them, so I didn't have to dig right in.
Right.
But yeah, I think you should be proud. You did an amazing job.
Thanks.
And which again is why you're working for me now, because that's my name on the sign. So if you weren't, you wouldn't be hired. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap up. It's just a lightning round, a fun wrap up. Okay. And Lily always laughs because the lightning rounds with me are never lightning, or the this or that's are always both. Yeah. I can't. Anyway, so let's see how you do. Sure. All right. One thing you're happy to leave behind from grad school.
Oh, discussion questions, discussion boards. Come on. Done. 250 words is not enough time or space to tell you how I actually think and feel. And
you have to have like all cited reference in 250 words. It's this I
know.
Hated discussion
Me
questions.
too. Always went over. Always got dinged for it. Didn't whatever.
Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Discussion questions.
All right. A myth about therapists you want to debunk.
Well, maybe that we are expecting perfection, like out of our clients.
Okay.
So
myth, that's a myth. We aren't doing that.
We are not doing that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, are we?
No.
You're fired.
Yeah. No. And that we don't maybe have like our own problems. Yeah. Like we have lots of feelings, and we have lots of feelings probably about what they say to us. And
absolutely.
But we are also able to like, again, like set those boundaries or shelf those for the time being.
That's right. That's right. And it's like what Lily and I talked about in our last podcast, the Q&A. I said, we go through the same things, or not always the same things, but like the anxiety, the insecurities, that kind of stuff. But it's important for us to use the tools that we are teaching others to use, right? But it's not that we don't go through anything and, we're perfect or that we, expect perfection. I always say progress over perfection. Atomic Habits. What are you most looking forward to in this next chapter?
Probably just like continued growth. There's so much to learn, so much to grow and expand on my current knowledge base. So I think that the continued growth is
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then slowly specializing. We'll see.
Yeah, it's slow. I don't expect you to specialize within the first year or so, because you need to.
And then, sorry, just one last one.
Yeah.
I also am excited to see clients graduate out of therapy.
Yeah.
And not that they will never come back for,
Yeah.
when you need reminders and whatnot, but it's nice. And I have had a couple who've graduated out, and now sometimes they come back once a month just to chat.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes they come back every 3 months, and it's the same thing, like just to check in.
Yeah.
So that makes me excited because it means I've done the right
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. And I've had some for 7-8 years.
Just come.
And it might be once every month or once every 2 or 3 months, but they just like that.
Check in.
Yeah, the check-in. So, If you could describe your future therapist self in one sentence, what would it be?
One sentence. Well, I hope to be a knowledgeable, compassionate psychotherapist.
Awesome.
That's a sentence, yeah.
Yeah.
What else do I want to be? Perfect.
No, because we're never perfect.
Yeah, I know.
Perfect is how you see it. Everybody's perfection is different. If a listener is questioning whether they belong in this field, what would you want them to hear right now? I think you answered that kind of like with the, if you can't carry.
Yeah, I would say, like, how are you carrying all of the mental load because no one avoids it, no matter whether you're a man or a woman or, thinking about this or in accounting, or if you're in a teacher, you're carrying mental load. And so how are you carrying it right now? And do you want more?
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
We are wrapping up. See, that wasn't so bad.
Not so bad.
You did a fabulous job. And I think I was going to say, maybe not, once you get into it, it's like, right?
Yeah, conversation.
I always want to say, but then I realize the setting that we're in. But just be like we're talking in the office, but we've got like these things in our face and cameras on us. But all right, that was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. And it's like I said at the beginning, your answers were different than Rachel's because of different life experiences, right? You're both amazing, and you're both big assets to our practice. Thanks. And I think I look forward to continuing to see you grow, and I look forward to you being able to do some of the outside stuff with us that we do, like when you said, like outside of the office, because we have fun. And I look forward to you being able to
I'm looking
just
forward
be
to
yourself and not the therapist. And
Are you sure? Just kidding.
Oh, you'll fit in. You have to see us. Yeah. Lily's like, yeah, no, don't. She has been with us outside of work, so. Yes, our retreat last year at the Blue Jays game, and we watched at the Crazy Horse. We all dressed in our Blue Jays stuff, and
fun.
Yeah, it was that was fun. All right, we are wrapping up. Thank you for joining us. If you know anybody who has been talking about want to be a psychotherapist or work in psychology, share this video with them. Colleen had some really good tips starting out and what you need to know and what it's like. And until I see you next week, take care of you. That's it for today's episode of The Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety. Remember, the work doesn't end because the episode does. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of these conversations. If you're enjoying the podcast, please rate and follow us on Spotify. It helps us grow and reach more people who might need this too. And don't forget, take care of you.